let's give this a shot. So, we're starting a new series thing, type, whatever, upload. I'm going to try to keep it short. It's called Naked or No. I go through faction by faction, obviously one faction per video, and I talk about the lords, whether or not you should take them butt naked or with all their items, etc. These are just my opinions. If you don't like them, that's fine. You do that. You play however you want to play. I'm just giving you my thoughts. So we'll start with Beastmen, Beast Lord. Tuskar Chariot, Razor Chariot. Probably just want the Tuskar Chariot. It's a little cheaper. Razor does give more armor and such. Causes fear. But Tuskar is cheaper. And the stats aren't that much better. Bloodlust, 25% armor piercing. He does have great armor piercing values on either of his chariots, I believe. Yep. So you probably do want Bloodlust. Duration 33 seconds, downtime of 60 seconds, meaning a third of the time you have 25% more damage. For only 78 gold, it's very good. Apocalyptic Vision is also extremely good, especially on a roster with low leadership. You want a leadership buff for only 157. Totem of Rust sucks. Don't take it. -7 armor around self for 74 gold. Doesn't matter. That'll never affect anything. And Horn of the First Beast. It only recharges if you're engaged in melee. So that's situational. That's situational. I would almost always take him with these first two. Almost always take him on a chariot if you're going to take him at all. As for the Lord, I think he's fine. I think he's a fine Lord. I wouldn't change him. Kazrak. Tuskar, Razor Chariot, same conversation we had earlier. Cheaper, slightly better. Cheaper, slightly better. Probably go with the Tuskar. Deadly Onslaught. 90 seconds, 31 direction. For 142 gold, I wouldn't take that. I would take Apocalyptic Vision. The Dark Mail for 232 gold, but it is 20% damage resistance. I mean, if you're taking Kazrak, you should probably take it. Scourge. 35-second duration, 120-second. Arm-piercing splash damage, base weapon damage for 200. Situational. If you're going to be dueling a Lord or clearing, like, elite infantry, you might want that. Otherwise, if you're going to win the duel anyway, 200 gold is a lot. So that one depends. But I would definitely take his Apocalyptic Vision, mount, and armor. Unless the faction you're fighting is range heavy, then the armor won't help you too much. Morgar, I know for a fact you almost always want Spirit Essence of Chaos and his Chaos Spawn Summon, otherwise why are you taking Morgar? You could cut Call to Violence. I personally like it, though, in situational. Foe Seeker, really don't need it, and you 100% need both Chaos Spawn Summons. Morgar is good. Yeah. Great Bray Shamans, I'm going to do all of them at once. Tuskar Chariot or Razor Chariot, probably the Tuskar Chariot because they don't really want to be in combat for too long and they need the mobility. So probably on that Chariot. Distorted Reality around self, -5 melee attack. How expensive is it? 100. I'd say it's worth it, especially lowering speeds. You can help get away. Melee attack, you can try to stay alive. It's probably pretty good. And you almost always want the Greater Arcane Conduit. Lore passives, depends on the lores. That one's up to you. Spells, go caster by caster. You do what you want for the game you're in. I would not do the Forbidden Rod because you're hurting your Beastman caster, which is one of your most important units, especially because he's your Lord. And his leadership isn't that high. He has no regen of anything, so I would not take Forbidden Rod. Scroll of Shielding is quite good, so probably Scroll of Shielding. Whatever spells you want, and then both of these. I usually take off lore passives, but that's just me. And that is all 4 of the Great Bray Shamans. Doombull. Slaughter's Call is good. Deadly Onslaught for only 136 gold. Probably still wouldn't take it, but there's more of an argument for it. Barb Knuckle Boxing looks pretty good. I would probably take that because 47 melee attack isn't that high, so a melee attack buff helps quite a bit. Hellfire Sword, fire damage. The base armor and weapon damage is nice. I would only take this, though, if you're expecting to fight a faction with regen. And then the Unbreakable Potion. Probably not. 70 gold for a one-time use Unbreakable. I can see a case for it, but probably not worth it. And plus 40% charge bonus on a charge bonus of 45, you're getting like 16 charge bonus, which isn't worth it. So you're pretty much paying for just 70 gold for 31 seconds of Unbreakable at some point in the game. And the Doom Bowl honestly has pretty good leadership, so it's not that worth it. I wouldn't take it. Hellfire Sword situational. Other than that, take these two. Torax. Again, Slaughter's Call is really good. Blood Beast, take it if you know he's going to get caught up in a bunch of chaff all the time, and you just need to clear him out quickly. Otherwise, don't. Brass Body, almost always take it. It's really good. And Rune Tortured Axes, I personally wouldn't take it. 10 melee attack, isn't that worth it? 15% damage increase is okay, but for 181 gold, and it only recharges if you're in melee, 181 gold, it's just more worth it elsewhere. Like, the thing is, and I'll say this really quickly, I'll probably say it several times across the videos, but they'll be released over time, so whatever. 181 gold doesn't sound like that much, you know? But it is half of an Ungor Spearman herd, a little more than half. So you have to think, is it going to do as much as this unit is for me, right? Because like that 10 extra melee attack has to do half the value that an entire infantry unit would do for you. Or think of it another way. Think of it, what you could do with that money, you could turn a shitty Ungor Spearman herd that you already have into, what was that, 181? Pretty much a Gore herd with shields, which is a better unit. You could turn him into an archer instead. Almost Razor Gores. Like, you got to think about what you can do with that money instead, not just like, oh, it's 181, who cares? It's like, oh, in the long run, it matters. All right. Last but not least, Malagor Dark Omen. Something wicked this way comes, -4 leadership for 42 gold. That's 100% worth it. I would take that all the time, maybe even against undead, because then they'll crumble more quickly. Get to crumbling more quickly. Unholy Power, constant self, improved power recharge rate. How much is it? 41? Great, keep it. Bestial Surge. Again, we talked about lore passives before, but I will be quick. This one, you only really want a lore passive if you're going to be spamming spells. So let's take a look at his spells. If you're going to take the Cygor Summon, it's 18 Winds of Magic with 2 uses. That's going to eat up a lot of your Winds of Magic that you're going to get in the game. I wouldn't take Bestial Surge. It's not worth it. You're not going to cast a lot. On the other hand, if you're going to cast Enfeebling Foe and Flock of Doom, right? So you're going to get a bunch of casts off because these are cheap as hell. Then it's worth it. You'll get your army more and more vigor over the course of the game. Because if you only cast it twice, you're getting, what, 10% vigor for your army? Okay, who cares? But if you cast 10 Flock of Dooms in a game, which is actually possible, and you get half of your army's vigor back, which can be huge. So think about what your lore passive is going to do when you're picking your spells. Wild Heart. Again, the same conversation we just had. If you're spamming Flock of Doom, cool. If you summon 2 Cygors and then you're out of mana, not cool. Don't do that. Arcane Conduit's good. His spells, depends on the factions you're fighting, so it's not really worth going into him that much. Because all these could be useful against different stuff. And his item, Icons of Vilification. 12 leadership is nice, and we mentioned with Morgur that I like the leadership. But the difference with this is that Malagor is flying. So for this plus 12 leadership, for 205 gold, he needs to be with your army. So it depends on your army comp, but if Malagor is going to be off doing his own thing, or supporting double Manticores fighting, the main point just is, if he's not going to be hovering directly above your army, don't take this, because that's 200 gold is a lot. 200 gold is a lot of money for 12 leadership if he's going to be off in Nowheresville. And that would be all the Beastmen Lords. Alright. Let me know if that was helpful or not. This is the first time we're doing this type of video, so we'll see if people like it.